Howdy, howdy, and welcome to Mo's World, the baseball podcast. We're excited to bring you our latest episode and the newest version, now as a visual feed. Your feedback is important to us, so please let us know how you enjoy this. If you enjoy the podcast, spread the word to your friends. In our 15th episode of Season 2, we are going to discuss a portion of Major League Baseball known as Donnie Baseball. That's right, Don Mattingly was Donnie Baseball. His career with the New York Yankees spanned from 1982 to 1995. In his short career dominance, he led the league in 14 offensive categories and 16 defensive ones. Now, I'm not here to spew about how he's not in the Hall of Fame. Why isn't Don Mattingly in the Hall of Fame? No. I think I've made my statistical mandates pretty clear in my past podcasts. So go back to Season 1, Episode 22, the Hall of Fame Pete Rose edition. Check it out if you haven't listened to it. No, I'm here because I just got reminded of just how a ball player can dominate his sport. And even if it is a short span like Mattingly's or a long span like Albert Pujol's reign, with the sport being so young and filled with so many new stars, I was just wondering, are we going to forget about some of these guys? I thought of perhaps back at a former young star who unfortunately lost his power stroke due to back injuries and eventually had to give in and retire at the age of 34. Now, Mattingly came up in 1982 at the age of 21. That in itself was a pretty rare thing for the Steinbrenner Yankees, as they were never known to be giving young talent an opportunity to shine. When Mattingly first came up, he was used as an outfielder and a fill-in for first base in his first 3 years. If you're too young to remember this era, the Yankees basically, they sucked. After losing the World Series to the Los Angeles Dodgers in 1981, sound familiar? The Yankees would experience an era of non-playoff baseball for 13 years. Perhaps the team of 1990 being recognized as one of the worst Yankee teams of recent times, if not history. Unfortunately, this span also consisted of Don Mattingly's entire career. Bad timing, eh? Alrighty, I believe Mike Trout can relate to what Don Mattingly was going through. Let's take a quick look at some of his stats. It stands out. Remember now, everything that's bold, he led the league in that category. So starting in 1984, which was basically his first year as an everyday player, that's the year that he battled for the batting title and won it. The amazing thing with Don Mattingly is that he never impressed in the minors. He never hit more than 10 homers in any season at any level. So he was not much of an anticipated prospect as we may have now. He was thought of as a good hitting contact hitter. The fact that Mattingly made contact was a talent he always had. Then something happened in 1984 as Mattingly started working and talking hitting with teammate Lou Piniella. He altered his swing and concept at the plate and began driving balls. He finished his age 23 season hitting 23 home runs with only 33 strikeouts while winning the batting title in a year-long battle with teammate Dave Winfield. Mattingly won the title on the last day of the season, 343 to 340. Donnie Baseball was here. Alrighty, well, looking at the 80s, 90s, the aughts, the 10s, and today, that's 40 years of baseball. The top dominant players of those eras, well, you're looking at them, right? Now, I left off a lot of players too. I mean, you can really debate this by only having a list of 10 for each year. 1980 was crazy. I left off a ton of players from the 80s. Same thing with each year, but I think the 80s was the most dominant. Everybody, Dwight Gooden, I didn't put them in any kind of order, so don't go saying that, Ozzie Smith should be above such and such. They're all it's just 10 of the best, random, alrighty? Looking at this list, it gives you an explanation of players come and go. Really. The big thing about this list is looking at the magnitude of the players that are on here. Some are in the Hall of Fame, some are not in the Hall of Fame, and that's pretty much what we're discussing. Even if you didn't have a Hall of Fame career, if you had a few good years, there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes people make it seem like he didn't make it or something. He wasn't good enough. But hey, the careers are short, So, you can have a dominant span and it can only be a few years. That's why you got to appreciate the players that do make the Hall of Fame. We can't be cheap on that because they work their asses off to be Hall of Fame players. I don't want any more Harold Baines. As simple as that. You're tired of me saying that, but he's the example. By him getting in, it made you. There's no reason why you shouldn't be thinking of Bernie Williams in that same spot as well. But I don't want to make this a Hall of Fame, episode kind of thing. I'm just talking about all these players that were dominant for stretches during their career. All right. We just listed 60 players, yet there's some ones that are not on that list. And one of them is Don Mattingly. Lots of players got left off the top 10 list, especially from the 80s. Being on a decade of top players means you were healthy enough to be one of the best for a decade. When Don Mattingly, was Don Mattingly a top player? Yes. For 5 years. He was the most feared hitter in the league when he redesigned his swing to take advantage of the short porch at Yankee Stadium. Can you live off a single great season as a player? Well, hell yeah. Just look at the Yankees' Giancarlo Stanton. He won the 2017 MVP award. Take a look at it. It's up here. And, would you say that he ever had another season close to his MVP season? No, but Stanton always struck out a lot. He didn't make contact, so it was no surprise, The surprise to me is that people talk of him as being a potential Hall of Famer. Once again, we'll pass that. But Mattingly, it was his constant strain on his back that did him in. He lost all his power. He went from 23 home runs to 5 in one season while he struggled. Basically, we witnessed a player who crushed it for 5 years but could not maintain his health. This is such a common story for players. Pitchers nowadays, they average 2.7 years in a career. And hitters are only slightly higher, close to 3 years for a career. So when a player retires with 20 years played and walks into the Hall of Fame, his fellow teammates from his rookie year are long gone. That's the reality. I think when a situation like Don Mattingly comes up, we can just say or we should say, he was an awesome player who was struck down by health issues. Period. I'm sure he accepts it by now. He was great as it lasted. Don't be sad. Be thankful that you had the opportunity as a fan to enjoy his career. I sure as well did. I mean, every Grand Slam I see now being hit, I think back on Mattingly, or the stretch that he also had in 1987, where he hit a home run in 8 consecutive games in July, and he tied the record at the time. For this reason alone, I appreciate seeing the magnificent career of Don Mattingly. Thank you for Donnie Baseball. I just wanted to throw something out. I was just watching a YouTube episode on his career, and the anniversary of all these home runs was coming up. And, well, basically that wraps up our podcast today. I thank you for joining us for our 15th episode of Season 2 of Mo's World, the Baseball Podcast. I wanted to try something different with the podcast. If you like it, you got to let me know. I mean, guys, serious, you got to let me know. The regular schedule for new episodes is every Friday, with each episode lasting approximately 20 minutes. We appreciate your support and encourage you to share the podcast with your friends. Our next episode, to be determined, will be released on Friday, May 9th. We look forward to seeing you then. In the meantime, ask yourself, whose world is it? It's Mo's World.